I'm going to explain to you why your brain is the most important tool for weight loss. We're going to start with why it is that your brain is causing you to gain weight. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about why and how your brain will help you to lose weight. And most of us are unaware that the calories in, calories out model of weight loss was created by food companies to blame us for being fat. Now, most of us have made several attempts to lose weight. And, well, according to what I've looked up, the average person will do 126 diets in their lifetime. And if you do 126 diets in your lifetime, that's probably meaning that you're failing every time. So you just walk around feeling like a failure all the time because you can't seem to get your weight under control. And I know for myself, by the time that I found keto, I had done at least 15 diets. Obviously, not all different diets. Sometimes it was just restarting over and over and over again. But that's not the point. The point is 15 different occasions that I had tried to figure out my weight situation and was not successful. So, of course, I'm going to have a lot of feelings of shame about that, about being overweight, about not knowing how to do this thing, right? And so obviously, if I feel shame about my weight, and I'm walking through the world feeling horrible about my weight and my situation, now it's impacting whether or not I decide to go out with friends. Now it impacted how much dating I was letting myself do. It impacted like everything that was happening in my life. That's happening in my head, right? That's a psychological something that's happening. And we feel frustrated, annoyed. I don't even know what the word is. Like family members will try to tell you because they love you, hey, you gotta work on this. You gotta get this under control. And we feel picked on, Wellness Warrior. I know I did. Did you feel picked on? Did you feel like, why are you talking to me about this as if I don't know? Your friends, right? They might, hey, let's go work out, invite you to work out. And maybe it's because they're going to work out. Maybe it's because they need the company. They need to feel encouraged too. And your friend will ask you, hey, come work out with me. And you'll feel insulted and called out rather than see it as an opportunity. Again, things that went through my mind. Why are you asking me to go? Right? Now, it doesn't help that I hate working out, but maybe your spouse is going to mention that your weight and you feel rejected. So by the time that your doctor chimes in and starts saying, you need to lose weight, first of all, you're discounting it because of all the different efforts, energy, whatever you've already put in. Second of all, you're discounting it because, you're just saying, what's his job? I step on the scale, he sees the number, he has to tell me to lose weight. But third of all, you might be discounting it because he's overweight too. Like, how dare you tell me to lose weight? And you've got a stomach hanging over your belt, right? I had all those thoughts, Wellness Warrior. And it was all upsetting. And it pushed any of the ideas about weight for me. Like, it pushed it. All these bad thoughts, bad ideas controlled what I was thinking about weight, and it's going to control what you're thinking about weight. Our minds use this information when we're thinking about what can we do for our health, but it also puts us in the position where we don't want to think about it, right? And all of a sudden, we're in denial, right? There's nothing for me to do. There's nothing for me to work on. I'm fine, right? Denial is the failure to acknowledge that an unacceptable truth, emotion is happening, and we don't admit it, like let it in to our consciousness. We don't let ourselves look at that truth or that bad feeling and have it be in our conscious mind. So now here's something for you to think about. These things that I just said to you that happened in your life, I know they happened in mine. I'm assuming they happened to some of yours. These things that I'm talking about, you are not letting yourself understand, see, visualize them in your conscious mind. So they're in the background working, keeping you where you are. And you're probably just wondering if someone could really just deny the reality of their health, right? Well, let me tell you something that happened to me. And it was like, when this person said it to me, I was like, whoa. So I was talking to someone about, my weight loss. A close person. So it wasn't a strange, it was a close person, somebody that, close to me. And I was just talking about how happy I was that I lost weight and, found keto and life is so much easier. And I said, because it was the heaviest that I had ever been. And the person said, no, you'd been heavier before that. And it shocked me, Wellness Warrior, because denial, right? I was walking around the world thinking yeah, I'm fine, right? I only have 70 pounds, well, only, right? But I'm fine. I'm tall. I do a lot of stuff. But it was obvious, first of all, and even that I denied to myself what my highest weight was. When this person said, well, no, Violet. And when I went back and looked at pictures, because they gave me a time frame, they were right. I had actually been heavier and wasn't even letting myself remember that I was there. Why does this happen? Because part of what your brain does is protect you from hurtful things, right? It's normal. Your brain's supposed to do that, right? It keeps you safe. Because if I'm not safe, I'm not going to move forward. I'm not going to work. But our ability to deny what's really happening, Wellness Warrior, can also be a trap. Because if we don't let ourselves pause and see our reality, we're not going to change anything. So I was not thinking about the fact that I was fat, right? I wasn't. And that allowed me to live my life and do some stuff. And I wasn't thinking about how hurt I was, right? About, when I was being told that I was fat. I wasn't thinking about that stuff. And I stopped weighing myself because the scale doesn't, it doesn't go in the right direction. I don't like this. I don't like what I'm seeing. So, you stop weighing yourself. And all of those things actually allowed me to keep eating garbage. So in walks now our medical model, which primes us to believe that as we age, we're gonna feel horrible, right? That's normal. The number of times that I complained, whether it be to a friend or to my doctor, about pains or issues I was having, to be told, well, you're getting older, It's like that, that's what happens. Is that really what happens? Right? Because I'm sitting here in front of you feeling better than I felt 10 years ago. So is getting older really what's happening? But we're told that, right? Poor muscle tone? Oh, yeah, because your age, you don't have time to work out. Well, actually, I think it's because you don't have time to work out. But we're told it's because of our age. Right? But then why don't we have time to work out? Because we're older, right? We have responsibilities. We have things we need to do. And so we get older, we have more responsibilities, we don't take care of our bodies, and then we're told it's because we're old. Do we even understand that before we had all the modern conveniences that we currently have, taking care of our family meant we were either chasing some animals to feed our family, fighting some animals to keep our family safe, or working the land to grow things, because that was one of the things that we did when we could, that we were taking care of our bodies by taking care of our families. They were one and the same, Wellness Warrior. Today's world, we take care of our family with money, and we've stopped realizing that we also need to still take care of our body if we're going to be around to take care of our families, because we need to get them to the place where they can make money, et cetera, et cetera. Mistake. We're making mistakes, right? We don't have energy, right? Is that age? Or is it the fact that we're not sleeping enough, right? Why aren't we sleeping enough? We spend all day at work, right? By the time we get home, we want to relax and have a little bit of fun. And so maybe after I take care of my family, right? I feed everybody and if you have a young family, you get them in the bath and you do all the things and you make sure that they're okay. And then the end of the day comes when I finally get that kid to bed. And now it's 9 or 10 o'clock, and that's when I'm just sitting down to watch some TV or play a video game or whatever you do a puzzle, whatever you do to get a little bit of relaxation before you go to bed, right? Should I not do that, right? Should I not have some time to relax? Right? We give all our time to work during the entire week, right? We're working and we're taking care of the important things. And that means that most of us are sitting, or if we're not sitting, we're very stationary most of our day. And then our family, they get the rest of our time, and we want to give the rest of our time to our family, right? Sometimes if our kids are young enough, that can still be a little bit of a workout, right? Because we're running around and we're playing with them. But as our kids get older, and it's really about helping them with homework and helping them, like manage their own time. Maybe I'm driving you to your friend's house, or I'm driving you to work, or I'm driving, right? Like as I'm helping my kids in whatever capacity I'm helping them, sometimes it means that I'm not using my body to the best of its ability. So I'm not keeping myself strong. And then when we do work out, right? Like if we give ourselves that time to work out, do we have the consistent schedule and enough time to do it enough that our bodies are healthy and strong? Because if we don't, the question becomes, how are we not going to become sick, right? If we don't take care of our bodies, we will become sick. And then when we're sick, we get pulled into that medical model that I'm talking to you about. If we wanted to work out, right, we'd have to give up something, whether it's family time, visiting with friends, our hobbies, or we sacrifice on sleep. And I'm saying all of this because I want you to stop and think about, why is it that you're struggling so much with weight? And it's because it's not just about food. Every place we turn, we are forced to make hard decisions that don't always come up in our favor. They don't always end with, and Violet did the right thing for her health. Even though it did do the right thing for my health, because it's a double-edged sword, right? If I don't see friends, I'm not going to be emotionally healthy. If I don't play with my kids, I'm not going to be emotionally, and make sure that my kids are okay. I'm not going to feel good as a parent, right? I'm not going to feel happy with myself if my kids didn't have a proper meal, or they didn't have the assistance that I can give with their schoolwork or their whatever. So I'm doing what's good for me in that sense because I want to be that good parent, but I'm not doing what's good for me in the sense that I didn't work out, right? And maybe I just don't have the energy because I get to bed so late after all the stuff I do, and we're in the circle, in the stir, in the the hamster wheel, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes we don't end up working out until it's too late, so we don't end up realizing that we should have been working out or doing the hard things until it's too late. And then by that point, we are in the medical system, right? And so we want to tackle this before we get in that medical system. We want to tackle this before we get sick, because if we don't, right? We're gonna be in trouble, because this denial that we have that we're never gonna get ill, that like we're fine, like I can work out next month or next year, I can start this process later. It's allowing us to make huge mistakes, and I'm saying huge mistakes. I'm gonna name some stuff right now. The first one being workout is an extra, right? That's a huge mistake that we're making. And it's not because of weight, by the way, Wellness Warrior. It's because of the health you get from working out, from having strong muscles, from being able to easily carry my body around the world, right? Because that's exhausting too. Like, not being able to easily carry me around was exhausting. I remember going with my daughter, because just because I was overweight doesn't mean that I didn't have to, like, I wanted to do fun things with her. Not even that I had to, I wanted to. And every year we would go climbing, right? And we would go to the Abanap, so we're climbing trees now. I'm not talking about the videos I've been showing you recently about climbing walls. We would go tree climbing every year, and we would do it. And every year I would be dragging myself up this tree. You know, there's ropes and there's different obstacles you're trying to do. And my daughter would be zipping across, just like she does with the videos where I show you where we're climbing walls right now. And she's like just strong and doing it. And I was killing myself trying to keep up with her. And I remember the first year we went, so that would be 2019. I had lost weight, but I wasn't at my best weight yet. But we went in 2019, and it was so much easier, like so much easier. And then in 2020, when we went, it was flipping easy. It was like, whoa, like by that point, not only had I lost weight, but I was, like I had spent a whole year with this new size working and doing stuff. And we think that we can put off the weight loss till another time. And we don't realize that by trying to put this off, we're just letting the damage accumulate and accumulate. What was happening, right? Now, the other huge mistake that we're making is we're saying things to ourselves like, one cookie doesn't change anything. It doesn't matter. It's a party. It doesn't matter if I eat this at a party. We're telling ourselves that the things that we are eating don't matter. We're telling ourselves that the things that we are building our body with don't matter. And why do we say that? Well, it's because of that medical model, right? Food has no impact on health, since doctors, not only do they not ask us about it, when we ask them about like what we are eating, and we get that same, look at the food guide, like just follow the food guide, you'll be fine. You try not to eat so much junk food. Like, what does that mean? Our doctors are not taking it seriously enough to say to us, stop eating lots of rice beside your healthy protein source. Why aren't they saying that? As I said earlier, they don't know, right? When you're sitting in front of your doctor who is also overweight, and they're telling you, eat less, move more, it's because they don't know. Otherwise, they would be doing the thing and be at a healthy weight. And this is where it gets real, Wellness Warrior. Because as we age, believing that the amount we eat matters more than what we've eaten, we are harming our bodies. We are damaging ourselves internally. The weight that we see is not the problem. It's an indication of the damage that we are doing. And we don't seem to be able to wrap our minds around that because the doctors are not telling us that. And so therefore we keep doing the thing that we shouldn't do, which is focusing on how much we're eating, how much calories, and focusing not enough on what we're eating. The fact that we believe that diets are short-term and don't work, and I'm saying this knowing that a lot of you sitting here are wellness warriors, but it's in the back of your head. This is what I'm trying to get you to see. It's in the back of your head. Those lies that you believed for so many years, if we don't actively talk to ourselves about what we used to believe and what we're trying to accomplish now, we won't understand why we fall off. We won't understand why we eat the wrong thing, right? Because I'm still telling myself that diets are short-term and temporary. I should be able to eat this thing, right? And then I eat the thing and I'm chasing the idea that inevitably everybody gets fat and sick as they age. It's going to happen. It's like you can't get away from it. Again, sitting here lighter than I was 10 years ago. Obviously, that's not true, right? It's not true that we have to get heavier as we age. As a matter of fact, I want all of us to pause for a second and think about grandma or great-grandma, depending on how far back you can remember your older people. Some of those older people in our lives who didn't gain as much weight as we've gained. Why? Because of where they are, where they were in history, right? Where they grew up with the idea that, no, if you eat healthy food and exercise, and not overdo the junk food, right? And the food that they were actually having access to was mostly healthy food, right? They weren't eating chocolate bars as a snack in the middle of the day, right? They weren't always having ice cream for dessert. They weren't, because it wasn't normal when they were kids, right? That wasn't what your parents gave you, so it wasn't what they were doing. We need to understand that these ideas live in the back of our head, and it's what's causing us to make our mistakes, right? So those older people that we can remember, at least I remember, my grandfather was not huge. He was like normal weighted, right? I remember a lot of my aunts, not my aunts, but my great cousins. So they were all with normal weight. It's interesting to me. My godmother, I remember, she was a normal weight. It's interesting to me because it's helping me to see that it's the stuff that we think is normal today that's messing with how much we weigh. And somehow, with all of that happening in the back of our head, we still think that I'm the exception to the rule, right? I won't get ill, and somehow I'm going to be able to just do differently. So when I start a diet, and again, this exception to the rule thing is really tricky, because I think, okay, I'm going to start a diet and I'm going to do it. I'm going to lose weight and I'm just going to be able to do it this time. Why? What did I change about what I'm thinking? This is the mistake we're making. If I don't change what I'm thinking, if I don't let myself look at it honestly and see where I'm making a mistake in thought that equals I give up on myself, right? If I'll keep making that mistake, I'll push it off and say I'll start next year, right? Because I can have the cake at the birthday party, and then, oh wait a minute, then we have that outing, we're going for the anniversary of so and so. And then, okay, so but 6 months from now, my calendar is going to be free. No, 6 months from now, we're going to be getting close to Christmas again. Right? You're going to look around the corner and be like, oh, wait, Christmas is coming. And we just keep pushing it off and pushing it off and pushing it off. We keep eating the garbage, funding the corporations that trapped us in this problem. Wellness warrior. Right? We give them our money happily, willingly, because it tastes fun. And our bodies are falling apart. So I want you to pause and really look at what's going on. Because the lies that we tell ourselves about food and health impact everything. Right? It's impacting every single action you take towards your health. And it's all towards other people benefiting, not us. Right? It's obvious for the food companies. That's an obvious benefit. But the nutrition/diet world benefits because we just keep trying to diet over and over and over again. And some of us are going to pay for a dietitian, nutritionist to help us out. Some of us are going to pay for a trainer to help us out. Some of us are going to join those weight loss programs, right? And they're giving us temporary solutions, not long-term solutions. They're not teaching us about the mistake that we're making that would help us to solve it long-term. So, the solution is acknowledging that our beliefs about food are actually what's determining what we eat, right? What we think is what we do. That's how it works. We don't do what someone else is thinking. We do what we're thinking. Like the fact that I just picked this up is because I thought to pick it up, right? And if I think to myself things like, it'll never work, then it will never work. What we think we can achieve is what we achieve. And what we think is correct, right, is the right thing to do, is what we're going to do. And obviously, and I can't say this one enough, what we think we deserve is what we give to ourselves. So, let's play this forward for a second. You ate cake at the party. Or maybe even worse, you bought chocolate while you were grocery shopping and you ate it all. And that's worse to me, Wellness Warrior, because we go shopping every week, right? How many times did I do that to myself? Shopping. And of course, when we're on that garbage diet, right? Carbs first diet, the garbage diet, we are hungry every few hours. So if I'm hungry every few hours, what is going to happen? Well, of course, I'm going to be grocery shopping and I'm going to get hungry. I'm walking through all this tempting food, right? So, was it true that I wanted the chocolate more than I wanted to be thin? Well, apparently, because I bought it, right? What am I telling myself in the back of my head? What am I telling myself, right? Did I actually believe that I could lose weight? Did I actually believe that I could stick to a healthy diet? But I wanted the chocolate, right? So, I wanted the chocolate, so I took the chocolate. I need to know what I'm saying to myself. Did I believe that I could lose the weight? Versus, I thought I was going to be fat forever. And honestly, Wellness Where I can even tell you that that was not a silent thought for me. I actually thought I was going to just be fat forever. Like, I had tried 15 diets by that point. I actually believed that I was not going to lose the weight. That was something that I had said, okay, right, this is what it's going to be. Now, I thought by being as active as I was being with my daughter that I was keeping myself in a stable position. Clearly, my weight was still rising because, right, it was just rising a teeny. Was it even rising slower? I don't even know. But I thought that, right? Again, denial. Was I just making myself believe that it wasn't rising at the same 2 pounds per year that they tell you you're going to gain forever? And it's funny how they figured that out, right? That the average person gains 2 pounds per year. Now, from 2017 to 2018, how many pounds did I gain? I didn't gain 2 pounds. I gained 20. We need to be honest with ourselves. We need to look at what's reality. That wasn't 2 pounds per year anymore. That was a 20-pound jump. What would have happened if I would have kept moving forward, Wellness Warrior? We think, at least I know I did, I thought that it was normal to eat chocolate, right? And I should be able to indulge like everybody else. And that belief was in there pushing my actions, even though verbally, if you asked me, I would say, of course I want to lose weight. That would have been my answer. Of course I want to lose weight. Of course I would like to be healthier. And yet, I would buy chocolate. Why? Because in my mind somewhere, I deserve chocolate. After the day that I had, after the work that I did, after all the whatevers that I was doing, I deserve chocolate. Right? Wellness warrior, you have an option. You can either keep living in denial or face the truth. Look at reality. Because guess what? Doctors are wrong, right? They should be talking to us about the food that we eat and how it relates to the weight that is constantly rising, right? But they're wrong because they're not being taught that. So this is going back before the doctor. This is going back to how they're educated in school. They're not being taught to talk to us about what we're eating. And so they don't, right? They don't talk to us about what we're eating. The food that you choose to eat, it matters more than how many calories you eat. Can't say that enough. Because the calories that you're going to get in from carbohydrates, and that's even if I'm not just talking about cookies and cake now. I'm talking about rice. I'm talking about fruit. I'm talking about, even quinoa. The carbohydrates that are coming in from the foods you eat are what tells your body what to do, right? It tells, so your insulin reactions and all the hormone reactions is based on the carbohydrates you ate versus the protein you ate versus the fat you ate. It's not based on the calories you intake because your body does not know how to doesn't know what to do. It doesn't measure calories, Wellness Warrior. You have no calorie receptor, as Dr. Fung pointed out to us. There is no way for your body to understand what calories you've taken in. That's a man idea, right? And we've been living our lives like our body understands calories. It doesn't. The other thing that we need to really allow ourselves to understand, right? To put the denial down and to see is that exercise is amazing for health. It helps you to be strong. It helps you to be flexible. It helps you to easily use your body and move yourself around the world. But food is what regulates your weight. So, and it does that. Let me take that a step further. It does that because the food is what builds your body. And so if I'm eating inflammatory carbohydrates, yes, my weight is going to be higher for two reasons. One, my body's putting those inflammatory carbohydrates into fat storage, storing that energy, that stuff on my body. But the second reason is it's inflammatory. So I'm also retaining water, which is, of course, going to help me to weigh more. You need to understand that, Wellness Warrior. If you don't understand that, you'll continue to make the mistake of thinking that the carbohydrates you eat are harmless. And I'm saying this, wanting you to understand, even the quote-unquote healthy carbohydrates that you eat are not harmless. Because the body makes all the carbohydrates we need. Every time we eat carbohydrates, we need to take into consideration what impact those carbohydrates are having on our body. Everybody has decisions to make. I'm asking you to be honest with what you're doing so you can make the decision that makes the most sense for you. The other thing I want you to correct is that we walk around our world not knowing what foods are going to help us to build our body and what foods are just, right, like damaging us, right? Like you need to know what you should be eating to build a healthy body so that you can actually eat those foods, right? It's the key to everything. If you're going to get your weight under control, you got to get your health under control. And you can't get your health under control if you keep eating the foods that are damaging your health. So it starts with eating the healthy food. So if you don't know that your body builds itself with protein and fat, then you won't understand that limiting protein and limiting fat is actually unhealthy.
Basically, we realize that when you look at a protein, there are two factors. One is what's the composition of those 9 essential amino acids, and the other is what's its bioavailability. How well do we digest it and absorb it? With animal proteins, the digestion absorption is pretty close to 100. It's usually 95% or higher for all animal proteins. For plant proteins, though, it gets into, you need to realize that in a plant, the protein is there for the purpose of the plant. And so a lot of it is attached to fibers, to structures. Plants have proteins attached to the leaves and the stems and the roots and the flowers and the seeds. And when you start to isolate that, if you just eat it in a raw form, it may only be 60-70% available because we can't digest the fiber. So if you look at wheat bran on a cereal box and say it was a wheat flour, and it says there's 4 grams per serving, there's actually less than 2 that you can actually absorb. The digestibility is where a lot of people have been focusing, but I have a big problem with the amino acid scores because they're incredibly low. They're way too low. And so they're established by the World Health Organization, by the FAO, which is really designed to prevent malnutrition in Africa, where we know from our Institute of Medicine that the essential amino acid scores are much higher than that, should be. You mentioned stable isotopes a little bit ago, or tracers. We know from stable isotope studies that all those FAO amino acid scores are too low. And so that's part of the equation that we're not telling people either.
So if you don't know that your body makes all the carbs it needs, you might be afraid to limit your carb intake, right, to 20 grams of carbs or less per day, right? So all of these things work together, right? Like you need to know how much protein is going to help you. And if you're just doing those minimum requirements, like the government is telling you to do, then you're going to be sick. But then if you are still allowing yourself to believe that these carbs are so essential, right? You need these micronutrients, and honestly, you can get them all from the meat that you're eating. And Dr. Baker and Dr. Berry have been talking about this for years now. You're going to let yourself eat the carbs and go past the number, and you're harming yourself. And maybe, here's the other part of the story, maybe the number isn't 20 for you. Like when I figured out that my number was actually, that I need to be less than 18, that was really interesting to me because, we keep hearing people say, everybody's different. And so, there's a lot of people that can be in a ketogenic state and they're doing 75 or they're doing 125. And yeah, that's true, right? But what about the rest of us who've been obese for years and are struggling like crazy and are getting this mixed message that says, well, everybody's different and you should be able to do it at 75, and we're taking that to mean that I should be able to do it at 75. No, everybody's different in both directions, which means that yes, it's very possible that you are trying to be in a ketogenic state at 20, but your body can't manage 20, and you really should be at something more like, 5. All right, or maybe you need to be carnivore and just not touch carbs at all. Right? Wellness Warrior, if we don't know that our body runs best on ketones, right? you may actually resist believing that meat is for you might actually resist believing that meat is for food and plants are for medicine, meaning that you should only be eating plants in times of necessity. And of course, that now makes sense, right? Because if I'm only eating plants in times of necessity, it means that I'm probably already not feeling well. And so me having something to settle my stomach, say, or to give me something that, in a concentration that's a bit higher in the plant for this moment. Yeah. And by the way, a medical necessity is like, it's the middle of winter. Sorry, it's the middle of summer. I couldn't catch an animal, but there's some berries or there's some rutabaga, there's something that I know I can eat safely. Yeah, I consider that a medical emergency. But do I think that we should be doing this all the time? No. There's a reality that back when we ate things seasonally, we did better, right? When we weren't able to ship fruits and vegetables around the world and we had to make do with what was available when it was available, we didn't have ability to can and freeze all this stuff. And when we had a different, we had limited ability to just spread food around the planet, we did better. By letting go of denial, we can acknowledge that there's a brain response to sugar, right? So that cephalic response. And that's really important because, first of all, when our brain responds to sugar, it's responding to the taste of the sugar. The sugar itself hasn't actually gotten digested and become part of us yet. It's just mouth tastes sugar, brain gets a signal, brain starts things in action. And why that's important for you to understand, Wellness Warrior, is it talks about how toxic incoming sugar is to us. That our body activates insulin and a bunch of other body processes to prepare for this incoming toxin, to neutralize it as much as possible, to pass it through us if it can and just get us to poop it out the other end. That it is so focused on keeping us safe from sugar, carbohydrates, right? But it doesn't do that with protein and fat. Now, yes, you do get an insulin rise when you ingest protein and fat, but a normal insulin, not a dramatic rise, a normal rise. Again, helping us to understand how absolutely important it is to make sure that we are eating healthy and that we're focused on being as healthy as possible in these foods that we're consuming. And so, the only way to do that, right? There is only one way to do that. It's by understanding that our brain reacts to sugar. Now, I want to just again contrast that with what happens with calories, right? Nothing. Our brain doesn't react to calories, right? If we don't understand that our brain doesn't even know that a calorie, that idea is just not part of the equation. Letting go of denial allows us to acknowledge that we are actually scared to fail at our diet, right? It allows us to acknowledge that we are worried to be seen as weak, to be seen as lazy, to be seen as ugly because we have all this extra weight on us, right? The truth is that we want good health, but we don't know how to get it. Now, I've linked a video in the description, and at the end of the video, you're going to have it as well, to help you with this keto journey, right? Because I want you to be on this journey and I want you to succeed at it. So you can click on that link after the video. I believe I saw quickly that the video might not have had sound. I apologize for that. It was Dr. Lustig explaining to us that a calorie isn't a calorie. And so we mistakenly believe that, if no matter what calorie you eat, it doesn't matter. And he was basically explaining to us that was a lie coming from food companies because they wanted us to look at it as a gluttony sloth scenario rather than looking and blaming ourselves basically than looking at their food. And they're basically saying, like, it's not our food, it's because you guys are just not working out enough. So that was the the gist of what Dr. Lustig was saying in that first video. I apologize that you weren't able to hear it because he said it very well, and that's why I like that clip. I've played it before. Wellness Warrior, I can't wait to see you guys next week. I'm going to be doing my very best to be bringing you some topics from bigger doctors, and I want to try to break down some information and just give you the best way of eating healthy and keeping your life on track. And so I'm very happy that you're here. I can't wait to talk to you guys again next week, Monday, 11:20. See you then.